7-day forecast, no changes ahead. We'll be in the low to mid-90s today. Tomorrow's high around 96. More of the same on Friday. We get to the weekend. I showed you a preview a minute ago. 97. That's the actual high temperature on Saturday. Heat index temperature somewhere close to about 104 degrees. And Sunday afternoon, there's a better chance we could see some scattered showers and even a few storms. Next week, next Monday and Tuesday, we stay in the low 90s.
WCNC Charlotte.
Weather is a kind of science that you get to see and experience every day. And I think some people don't even realize how much it affects them. That weather has a huge impact on how it threatens your family, your livelihood, or your home. So I think it really is one of those defining things we do that really affects everybody in our community.
See the difference.
That process of giving you a warning ahead of time and keeping you and your family safe is really important to me because I live here too. It's my family, it's my friends, it's my neighbors.
Right now, an effort underway to crack down on speeding drivers. South Carolina law enforcement joining those in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee in a concentrated effort to reduce speeds on our interstates and highways. WCNC Charlotte's Kaylin Hagwood went to Lancaster for a look at how police there are helping with the effort.
With more people out for the summer, police across several southern states are taking to the streets too, working to crack down on drivers with a need for speed.
On some of the larger roadways, I mean, we're seeing, 90s up to 100 miles an hour sometimes.
It's why Lancaster Police Chief Don Roper says his officers are joining those in several southern states in a concentrated effort to slow people down on interstates and state highways.
We're part of a traffic enforcement grant, and our officers, they go out and they look at areas where we've identified problems with speeding so that we can reduce traffic collisions. With doing that, trying to reduce traffic fatalities.
According to the South Carolina Department of Public Safety, there have been at least 516 traffic-related deaths in 2023. While the data from this year aren't complete, a look at 2021 creates a better picture of how impactful speed can be. At that time, DPS found 284 people died and more than 39,000 crashes took place after someone drove too fast for conditions.
We're not trying to find someone to write a ticket to. We're trying to reduce these crashes and keep families safe. That's most important to us.
Operation Southern Slowdown continues through July 23rd. In Lancaster, Kaylin Hagwood, WCNC Charlotte.
The White House says more than 80,000 student loan borrowers will have their remaining federal loans forgiven over the next few weeks. But what does that mean for you if you don't qualify? Here's Megan Bragg with this morning's Verify Fact Check.
Student loan debt, lots of Americans have it, and unfortunately, most will have to pay those loans back. A question some people are wondering is, can you get that debt wiped clean if you file for Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 bankruptcy?
Our sources are attorney Kimberly Sheik at the Sheik Law Office and studentaid.gov. According to studentaid.gov, you can have your federal student loan discharged in bankruptcy court if you can prove that repaying those loans would impose undue hardship. But Sheik says that's an uphill battle and your creditors may challenge your request.
So it becomes extremely difficult to get those student loans discharged in bankruptcy.
She says in order to qualify, you would have to prove to the court that you make such a minimal income that you would not be able to pay off those student loans.
It becomes problematic because with federal student loans, you can qualify for income-driven repayment programs that's based off of your income and your monthly living expenses. That IDR can be as low as $0 per month.
Sheik says just filing for Chapter 7 or 13 bankruptcy won't automatically wipe out student loan debt, but it can be a way to keep your head above water.
Filing Chapter 7 in order to get rid of the credit card debt or previous repossessions, previous evictions, medical debt, you name it, usually helps to get people on the right path so that they can then go and address their student loan debt.
So what can you do if you're swimming in debt? Sheik says contact a bankruptcy lawyer to look at all of your options.
Income-driven repayment, if there's other debts that they're dealing with in addition to student loans like credit card debt and medical debt, give the lawyer a call. We can look at discharging those debts in order to be able to get them, at least get their heads a little above water.
With your Verify Fact Check, I'm Megan Bragg.
And folks, if there's something you would like us to verify, email us at verify@wcnc.com. Larry.
Thank you, Ben.
dots. When we make the news make sense. Today, talks between UPS and a major union headed back to the negotiating table to help resolve an ongoing labor dispute. It's one of several unions demanding change.
From actors to delivery drivers, it seems like everybody is on strike. Let's connect the dots. A lot of folks on strike, and it all boils down to three things. According to experts, the economy plays a major role. When the unemployment rate is high, unions have a weakened ability to strike because turnover can replace striking workers. But that's not the case with the unemployment rate now sitting at 3.6%. Another factor, the president. Joe Biden has come out and said he wants to be the most pro-union president you've ever seen, which in turn empowers more unions to fight for higher wages, added sick leave, and more. Finally, experts believe the COVID-19 lockdowns changed a lot of views about essential work and safety. This has caused more Gen Z employees to educate themselves about unions and their rights, all with the hopes of more benefits and higher pay. And that is connecting the dots.
Well, good news for parents and looking for support this school year. Meal benefits are now in place for children headed to school across the state. This comes as many districts look to provide free meals for students. Hickory and Lincoln County now joining the list. Wake Up Charlotte's Tradisha Woodard joins us live with all the details on that. Tradisha?
That's right, Sarah. As you just mentioned, Hickory and Lincoln are now announcing that they will be providing free meals to all students for this upcoming school year, all in efforts of improving education and health benefits for students.
More schools are pushing for free lunch this upcoming school year, with Lincoln County and Hickory Public Schools also putting meal benefits in place for kids. Other school districts like Rock Hill also announced a pilot program that provides free meals to all students. Officials say last school year, students at Rock Hill schools could pay up to about $64 a month for lunch and breakfast. But this upcoming school year, it's coming at no cost.
Why not be proactive? Why tell families who can't afford it, you know what, you're just going to have to figure it out, and we might be here in the end for that. We want to eliminate barriers to food insecurity in our community, and this is just one step toward that.
School officials say free meals will have a huge impact on the way kids perform inside the classroom, especially for schools in low-income communities.
And some school districts like Hickory Public Schools will also be providing special meals for students with dietary needs. They say all you have to do is log onto their website and fill out a form. Reporting live for Wake Up Charlotte, I'm Tradisha Woodard.
Wake up to the news that matters most with meteorologist and traffic reporter Chris Mulcahy.
And we're all clear. We're keeping you smarter, safer, and on time.
Start your day the Mulcahy way. See the difference. 4:30 to 7 on WCNC Charlotte.
Earlier this week, we told you about a new community in Gastonia that requires neighbors to fly the American flag. And right here on Wake Up Charlotte, we verified that HOAs can require certain decor. But can an HOA go as far as to take your home away if you don't pay dues? That's one claim from a viewer on social media.
If you don't mind, could you start with your first and last name and kind of give us like a rundown, and then we can ask questions after, if that's okay?
Sure. Adam Johnson, Executive Director of Transportation at Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. Well, you just go ahead and jump right into the questions?
No, could you tell us what you have first, and
Yep.
then we can do questions after?
Sure. So thank you all for joining us this morning. This is kind of a briefing just to update families on where we are with Express Stops currently. As you recall, we discussed with the board last school year the plan to move to Express Stops for magnet high schools. We are on the final stages of that plan now. We're printing labels for those families. Those labels will go out late this week, early next week. We'll also be sending communications home to families via email just to make sure that they're updated on what's going on, to remind them to be on the lookout for the mailer that will have their bus stop information. We wanted to give them a few extra weeks ahead of the traditional schools, just so if they have any additional concerns with the Express Stops, that we can work with them and kind of get their concerns addressed before school starts. So at this time, if you have any questions, I'll certainly be open to those and try to answer those as best I can.
So what's the driver situation like? I know that was part of the force behind this.
Great question. So currently we're still at 51 vacancies, 53 on leave. We anticipate that number to go down dramatically once we finish the final product for routing this school year. What the good thing I want families to know, as well as the public, is because of Express Stops, we're going to be able to reduce dozens and dozens more buses. Remember, when I first came back to CMS in 2018, we were running 1,086 buses. We ended the school year last year with 928. We anticipate, hopefully, if everything holds together, we should be able to cut somewhere close to 80 to 90 more buses off the road. As you can imagine, that's going to be a tremendous help to us to match and mostly align with the staffing that we have available, knowing that we still have the shortage here in Charlotte-Mecklenburg, across the state and across the country. Bus drivers are a hot commodity. So what we want to make sure we're doing is being able to provide the best service possible for all students in the district, and that's going to require us to move to the Express Stop plan.
And you're talking, I'm not good at doing math in my head that quickly.
Yes,
How
ma'am.
many total buses do you think you'll have?
Yeah, we're anticipating operating somewhere around 840 buses to start the school year. So we're really excited. Everything should be finalized within the next couple of weeks, and we'll be able to give everyone an update on that staffing number.
How many buses last year to start
We
school
ended to start the school year. We were at about 945. We ended around 925, but really what you have to think about is the number of buses that actually moved on a daily basis was closer to 820 because of the staffing that we did have available.
You all were asking parents, like if there was a group of parents who were able to get an X number of students at one stop
Yes.
that you all might be doing. Tell me a little bit about the backstory of that, how it worked, and the formula for how you chose if that was going to actually work, and the process families had to go through and how you all helped.
Yep, so you're talking about consolidated stops. That's a little bit different from an express stop. So if families were able to get together with another group, we asked for at least 7. We were able to create stops either at a neighborhood clubhouse, could be a local church or a shopping center. So if those were viable options for the families to use, we worked with those to create additional consolidated stops. Remember that we started the Express Stop plan with 19 Express Stops. We're now close to 40 Express Stops. So as we've heard from the families, the concerns that they had, we tried to address those by adding additional stops at CMS sites, CMS schools, to address their needs.
What about the safety of some of those stops? Because when now you go from 19 to 40,
Yep.
you can imagine, and also you're at places that are churches and all these things, but there are other folks out there.
Great
How
question.
will you
Yep, CMS sites will have a campus security associate there, but a consolidated stop, if it's in a neighborhood or a school or church parking lot or a shopping center, those won't have any campus security associates, but those will only be available at the CMS sites.
And what about traffic at the CMS sites? Will the Express parents know where to go? Will they be able to
Yep, if you
wait
came in
without getting
here,
stuck in the lines?
exactly, great question. And here we are at South Meck High School, so as you walked or drove in, you would be able to see the Express Stop signs, kind of the marking for folks to be able to come in and know where to drop off. At a CMS site, they will always be located in the school bus parking lot, and we've designed those such that they won't overlap with the bell time of the other school. So the Express Stop parents will be in, the buses will be gone before the regular, for example, here at South Meck, the South Meck High School buses would be arriving. And that'll be the same across the district.
So that's pretty early then.
It is for them. So, but remember, what we'll have is most likely is a student that was getting on the bus at 5:15, 5:30 in the morning. They'll be getting on the bus about 6:15 or 6:30. So it's about an hour savings, extra sleep that they have. Families can kind of get ready for the day.
I know some parents have questions. Let's say if their child goes to school from one express stop, but maybe they come home on a different express stop. Is that an option? Can
Absolutely, sure can. They can move from one to another. If another express stop is closer to the parent's work, maybe a relative that they can go to, we can work with them on that situation. They can move in and out of a stop during the school year if something works better for them at that time. So we just want families to know we're going to work with you as much as possible to make this as easy as we can for you during the school year.
When the express stops were initially rolled out, a lot of parents were upset and concerned. Has CMS addressed any of those concerns? If so, how?
Yes, great question. So mostly those have been with the additional express stops that we've added, as well as consolidated stops. We've worked with community partners to set up stops at Parker Rec Centers. So we've done things to address those concerns as they've developed.
Adam, you talked about when we first talked about this, some parents that they can't even get to the express stops, right? So I know Uber Teen has rolled out. I know you talked about a potential partnership with CATS, but also parents are asking, well, hey, can you pay us for this if we go here? Like, what does that look like? Have you all been able to get any of that happen, or did it not?
So with we did explore an option with like a ride share or possibly a way for parents to carpool this app. We didn't feel that it was appropriate for the families for liability issues and safety issues of who might be driving those vehicles. So what some families have done is just we kind of put them in touch with others in the area, so they've been able to set up some carpool situations for them to kind of get to the express stop and back.
80 fewer buses. What are you looking at fuel cost savings?
Oh gosh, great question. So an average bus gets around 6 miles per gallon. If a bus does about 100 miles or more per day, we're looking at savings probably on the order of tens of thousands of gallons of fuel. You multiply that times about an average price of $3 per gallon, it's going to be a tremendous savings for the district.
And then I guess also maintenance
costs, the drivers pay that we don't have to fill those vacancies, a lot of other things we could do with that savings.
Some parents that I've spoken to say, obviously you guys are talking about the shortages and how much the maintenance cost is and everything, but they still are worried about, for some kids that might not have that ability to get to these express stops, the equity when it comes to going to a magnet school, because it's just one more step more difficult for their family. What is it that you would say to those people that are still concerned about that and think that people might be affected that haven't been helped yet?
Yeah, reach out to us. That's why we're giving them their stop information a few weeks ahead of time of the traditional schools, so we can try to help you. There might be some other ideas or some other consolidated stops that we haven't explored that could possibly help those families. So reach out to us now so we have additional time to help you.
And for the people that say that, the school system's just doing this to save money and eliminate some jobs and everything, what is it that you would want to say to them about that?
Well, I would say to them that think about that number of buses that I mentioned to you to start with. 928 buses is where we ended the school year this June. But those 928 buses never moved. We were talking about buses some days when we had the vacancies of 50 to 60. People on leave of about 50, and our daily absences could average about 50. That's about 150 buses that never moved. And those parents certainly felt that impact. Late buses in the morning, late buses in the afternoon, drivers running double runs, triple runs, just to make sure the kids could get to and from school. So I would want those families to know this is going to be a viable, workable plan with the staffing that we have available. Certainly encouraging others to continue to apply with us. We'll have a class in August, another class in September, because we certainly want to keep you and keep folks engaged with applying and becoming a bus driver. But what we want to make sure we have is a viable working solution to begin the school year. We want every bus to move on that first day. We'll still have everybody else available to drive, including yours truly, the little bus here. But we want to make sure that we're able to get kids to and from in a timely manner so they're able to get in class and be ready to learn.
There are going to be some parents, some students who this simply just is not going to work.
Right.
It's the bottom line.
Yes.
And being said, what are you saying to those parents where it's just not going to work for them? What's the answer to them? Because they keep asking why us, but I think we have to come to an understanding that it's just not going to work for everybody.
Exactly.
What are you saying to them?
So we would say at that point you might want to contact your school and see if there are other options, either for them to enroll in their home school, possibly another school that might be better suited for them to get to and from. So I'm sure that we'll try to work with those if there are those extreme cases where nothing will work. It may be, and we've heard from some families that said, we do have to go back to our home school. And we understand that, but we just want to make sure we can get this off the ground and make sure we can get service to all of the students that we're responsible for transporting on a daily basis.
And related to that, this may not be your turf though. One of the big things was you're going to lose students at these magnet schools. Mm-hmm. Students who really wanted to be there, who normally would have moved up to, whatever next grade.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know
Not
to what
yet.
extent you've lost, if any?
Yeah, we don't know that yet. That information will be out probably sometime in September. Question yesterday, sort of similar to that. We'll be able to count the students that are using the buses for express stops, and likewise the schools will be able to determine who have they lost or if they possibly gained some students. So that information will probably be available late September, October.
Do the parents know yet where the official stops are now?
They can if they go onto our website, our transportation website, which they can link to off of our CMS homepage, and they can get the closest express stop to their home. But remember, we will be sending out that information to them in the next week or two, possibly next week as early as that, but we'll have that for them so they'll be able to, if they had any question about it, they can get that information then.
Is there time to still add express stops, or is it kind of set as it stands?
Yep, right now we're pretty much set. As we get into the first few weeks of the school year, if we do need to add something or adjust, relocate it from one school to another, we'll certainly do that.
So all express stops will be an hour after normal school time starts?
Say that one more time.
All express stops will be typically an hour after normal school hours start, or?
It would be the reverse. So for example, this school, the buses arrive at 6:45, school starts at 7:15. The express stop buses will be scheduled to leave here anywhere between 6:15 and 6:20 in the morning. So they'll be in and out of here before the regular buses, parent traffic gets in.
Is this something that CMS looking to do long term, or is it just for the school year right here?
We're hoping long term. If we're ever in a situation where staffing would turn around, budget turns around, certainly we could look at that and we'll do whatever the board directs us to do. At this point, we just want to make sure we're able to open effectively for all the kids that we do have to transport.
Adam, I'm curious to know about how you all, the formula kind of behind what you thought was deemed acceptable, right? I think about the sidewalks. Some students may not have sidewalks, it might be a highway, it might even be dangerous. Did you all keep some of these things in mind when you were doing that, and how did people go out and look? How did that work?
Yeah, so first of all, we did the intent to ride survey. We asked for feedback from our express stop families of those magnet schools earlier in the year, around January, February, March. We did a full district-wide intent to ride survey, April, May, June. That gave us a sense of where some of the densely populated areas of those that said we do need a bus will be, and we set up those express stops there where they're most safe.
Now, if I go out and I find a family who say, hey, we have a highway that's in the middle, we can't send our kid to walk there. What should I do? What should they do if that happens? And they're
reach out to us and let us know if there's something that we can do to help with that. But remember, we're going to have to partner with our families as well. We're asking them to help meet us halfway. If you can get your student to the stop, certainly that's the best case scenario. If you can work with someone in the neighborhood, again, do carpool situations, that's a good alternative also. We at least want to try to get this off the ground first and see what the response is and how many students are riding at the express stop sites, and see what the impact will be, and then we'll make those adjustments accordingly.
And to pull back from just express.
Yes. Will be taking the express bus. How many students are you expecting to take it right now?
So there were a little over 5,000 that were involved in that process. So we've assigned everyone that have indicated that they will use the express stops this school year. So it's gonna range, to tell you the truth. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier in one of the questions, we'll do a full count around the 20th day, so like late September. We do a statewide count anyway. We'll get better information on that. I would estimate somewhere between 50 to 60% will actually use the express stop site, but we'll have more information on that most likely late September.
And pulling up a little from that, how many total riders? And it seems to me if you have fewer buses and the same or more riders, you're going to be looking at longer rides for somebody.
May not be as long a ride, but the buses may be full. So what we see, we've had people in the past say, gee, I see that bus running around and it looks like it only had 10 kids on it or 5 kids on it. And that's the extent of a full magnet bus that may cross from one end of the county to the other. The time that the bus would have to pick up students is such a short amount of time, we're only able to pick up 5 or 10 kids. In these cases, you'll see an express stop come in probably loaded with 20, 30, 40 students. So it may not be a longer bus ride, but you'll see fuller buses, so more students riding the bus.
A continuation of Ann's question,
yes.
Do you all have an average time now? I remember when you first gave this to the board, it was giving, if they were a regular rider, it was like 2 hours, but yes. Express stops is 30 minutes. So what's the average time that a student may spend on the bus now versus what they were doing before, and the average distance they're kind of riding?
Yep, so the average is still close to 30 minutes. We did a test run on one yesterday, went to our furthest points in the county, and it still took us 27 minutes. Considering traffic, other things, it may fluctuate kind of here or there, but our average will still be around 30 minutes for students, whereas on a magnet bus, it could have been anywhere from an hour and 45, up to 2 hours.
And for those official express stops, you also had an average of like from a child's home to where the express stop is. Has that changed any?
Nope, we kept that 3 miles or less.
And I might have missed your answer. Approximate total number of bus riders?
So we have a little over 111,000 assigned. That number obviously changes once again we see that 20th day, and we do a full count. The drivers assist us with counting the students that are riding.
And how many express stops are there district-wide?
Good question. So when we first started, we were around 19, so we're up to a little over 40 express stops. So we've doubled the number.
And to make sure I do the math right.
Yes, ma'am.
At the beginning,
I know with your math.
Listen,
all right.
Yes, I try
ma'am.
to get it right.
Okay.
So at the beginning, they said about 5,000 students may be impacted, and you're saying about 1,000 500 are the people who are saying, hey, we're going to do this. Does that mean in that middle that 4,000 folks are saying we're not going to the magnet schools? Give me that in between.
No, so what we were saying was the 5,000 were the students that we identified that were attending those schools that would be involved in an express stop. We're anticipating somewhere between 50 and 60% will ride the bus. So I would say somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000, just on who's indicated that they will use the service. And then once we do a full count, we'll be able to tell the real numbers.
And you mentioned how you want the families to keep in contact with.
Please, that's the best way for them to share those concerns with us. Something they see that we didn't see, let us know so we can try to work with you over the next month before school starts.
And what has that communication been like with a lot of the families in the district?
It's actually been great. Once we take the time to work with them and hear their concerns, and it really becomes more of a brainstorming activity and kind of working together to get to a result that's workable for us and for them. So it actually has been positive.
And what is the point in all of the express stops?
A few things. One, again, it goes back to our staffing availability. So remember that we're going to cut hopefully another 80 buses or more off the road. So that aligns with the staffing that we have available. Secondly is a budget reduction. So that's the cost savings that we needed to align with the board approved budget for transportation. So two main things there. Again, most importantly though, is for us to be able to provide good service for all of the students in the district.
Any misconceptions that you want to address here at the moment, whether you saw it on Facebook, you saw it somewhere else, something that you think you need to address?
Sure. What I would certainly, kind of beginning at the beginning of the questions today, the schools were picked because we certainly addressed the high schools first and the full magnets because they offer the most value, I would say, because they're the longest routes, they travel the most mileage, and the students are on those buses the longest. And we didn't want to alter stops for middle or elementary students. We tried to work with our older students in this situation. So we just want families to know that we went through every possible plan, any possible change that we could do that wouldn't affect as many kids, and this was the best possible solution for us to meet the needs of the drivers that we have available, the budget that we're working with, and again, that we can provide good service for all kids so that they can get into that classroom early and learn.
One other note, Mr.
Yes.
Johnson mentioned we have 51 driver vacancies. Just
Yes.
for the story, you might want to include this on August 3rd. We'll have a hiring fair
Thank
at
you,
South
sir.
County Regional Library from 10 to 3. There's a $1,500 sign-on bonus for drivers, as well as a $3,000 sign-on bonus for technicians. They can come to that hiring fair. We're always taking applications online, but I wanted to put that on the table just so you got that. You might want to include that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you all. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
If you need any footage of the bus, let me know. If you
You
want the
said
lights
the
on.
express stop sign or the shuttle stop sign?
Yep, the express stop should be as you come on in. Yes, ma'am.
We're going to do the ride-along bus ride with them, but I won't be there because I have to do an interview.
Now to connect the dots. Would we make the news make sense? Well, for years, women have spent billions of dollars on personal care products like makeup, moisturizer, that sort of thing. Now, the guys are starting to hop on the trend as well.
The personal care market for men is expected to grow by $80 billion over the next 5 years. Let's connect the dots. Gone are the days of 3-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, and body wash as men embrace the concept of self-care. It all started with the facial hair boom of 2015. According to YouGov, about 6 in every 10 men had a beard, and grooming it became a priority. Fast forward to the rise of TikTok in 2019, male influencers began sharing their tips and tricks for all things male beauty. The publication Cosmetics Business reports a 400% increase in TikTok videos surrounding male skincare. And perhaps